Hello, everyone. We're really happy to have you here with us today. I'm going to let you get ready and slowly start. So we're happy to have you here with us because of the current wild situation that happened that we're all in today. We got a lot of questions about refunds, cancellations, and so on. So we're really excited today to share our tips and tricks to make your day-to-day easier on the platform. Before we start, let's just go over some technical details to make sure that everything goes smoothly. First of all, you as the audience will be put on mute for the duration of the presentation. If you have any questions, hold on because I'm pretty sure we're going to cover them throughout the presentation. But if you still do have questions afterwards, you can reach out to our support team and they'll be happy to answer you quickly and give you all the details you need. So basically, another thing that's important is that the presentation will be recorded. So if you need to go over it again, share it with a colleague, or just watch it, pause it, and take your time to really listen to Tristan's explanations, you will be able to do so afterwards. You'll receive it by email in the next 48 hours or so. And finally, just make sure that you listen. And like I said, take your time to not write down your questions. We will cover everything throughout the presentation. I hope you have a good time. And now I'm going to start. So my name is Sandrine. I'm a customer experience coordinator here at Amilia. I've been here for almost 2 years now. And today I'm sharing the screen with Tristan, my dear colleague who is in the support team. So Tristan, it's your turn.
Hey guys, thank you all for attending today. It really means a lot. I hope you're all doing well. Like Sandrine said, my name is Tristan. I'm a customer care specialist here at Amilia. I've been working here for almost a year now, so I might have spoken to a few of you if you've ever reached out to our customer support team. Also, sorry about the hair. It's very, very humid today in Montreal, so it is what it is. Usually I would have had a fresh cut for you guys, but due to the current circumstances, it was a bit harder. As you can see on the picture, it's usually a bit shorter, but yeah, we'll have to make do. So without any further ado, let's get right into it. So on our agenda for today, we're going to go over the steps to refund, the current versus expected balance, types of refunds, online versus offline refunds, and then 4 new features we're really excited to showcase to you guys are Payment Action Center, cancellation policies, mass cancellations, facility closures. And then we're going to finish off with a few frequently asked questions. Now, before we start, I just want to mention that in Amilia, there are many ways to do many things. So if you are used to doing something with one specific process and you feel comfortable with it, that's totally fine. Today, we're going to go over a few examples and show you our favorite ways of doing it. But as I said, there are multiple ways of doing it, so don't worry about that. So firstly, we're going to go over the steps to refunding. Now, the first case scenario we're going to look at is canceling the invoice and issuing a refund. So this is simply for a case scenario where somebody says, oh no, I want to unregister from the activity. So you just want to unregister them and give them a full refund. So in that case, here's a quick video to show you guys how it is done. So you want to go in the client account under the client billing section, expand their initial invoice, and click on cancel/refund items. Then you want to select the item you wish to cancel/refund. And you'll notice at the top, there's the credit memo amount section. So every time you make a cancellation, there is a credit applied to the client account to balance out the invoice that was originally created. So we're going to fill that out. Usually you want to credit the amount in full. As you can see, that's what we're doing here. Then in the refund amount, that's where you can put it in. Click on apply max amount, select credit card via Amilia, and then you can click on save. And there we go. So then it'll bring you back to the client billing section once it has been processed. It may take a few seconds. And as you can see, there's this little processing tab next to the refund right here. That means that your refund has you've done it successfully and that it's currently processing. So, and you might ask, what is this current balance, expected balance, which segues perfectly into our next slide. What is the difference between current versus expected balance? So your current balance is your balance at this moment in time. So as you can see in this example, there's a refund processing for $25. Right now, there's a credit memo on the account, which means that you owe the client $25, if you could put it that way. And once the transaction has been completed, the balance will drop down to 0. So that's what the expected balance means. It basically means that what is the balance that will be after all pending transactions will go through. This is also applicable when somebody chose to pay using installments. And so if somebody has some planned payments coming in, you will see the current balance right now, and you'll see the expected balance that will be on their account after all the payments have gone through. So next, what we're going to take a look at is refunding without canceling the invoice. So let's say somebody missed the first class or they registered late, and so you want to register them, but you want to refund them for the classes that they missed. Or you just want to refund them for XYZ reason. This is the process to do so. So what you want to do is notice that they paid $50 here. And something I would like to add that is critical to grasping the concept of refunding is that if you don't cancel the invoice and simply refund the amount, the system thinks that you've refunded them, and so the client still owes how much ever the activity is worth, right? So since we're not unregistering them in this specific instance, what we want to do is create a credit, that will counterbalance the refund that we're doing. So in this case, how to do that is click on operations, then create a credit. They type rebate, select the appropriate ledger code, put in the amount, $50. Select the appropriate taxes. You can put a description, administrative comment, whatever is appropriate for that specific instance, then save. Now notice that right now there is a $50 credit on the account. So the system thinks that you owe them $50, and that's perfect because now when we're going to refund the client, the balance will drop down to 0. So to do that, what you want to do is expand the payment, then click on refund, and by default it'll be the full amount, but you can change that if you don't want to refund the full amount. Click on save, continue, and then you will see that the expected balance will be 0 and the current balance is $50 as mentioned previously. Why, right? However, you might ask, what are these orange triangles here, orange yellowish triangles? So that means that these items are not reconciled. Now, quickly, for people that aren't too familiar with reconciliation, it's linking an invoice to a payment. So it's the same thing as stapling a receipt to an invoice. It's really just linking this payment was used to pay for this invoice. And in this case, it is to say that this refund was to refund this credit amount. So how we did it, I'll back it up for you guys just quickly so you can see. So if you expand the refund, you can then click on reconciliations, and you'll see that you'll be able to select the credit amount, click on save, and then they've been reconciled together. And everything is green, everything is beautiful. That's a spick and span account. And then notice if you go into their purchases, you will see that they're still registered for the class because you did not cancel their invoice. Now, the next thing that we're going to go over is adding an administrative fee. So the use case scenario for this is if somebody, for example, decides to cancel their registration, but you still want to keep a little fee for administrative or clerical work. So if you want to just add a $5 fee, or it can also be used if somebody halfway through the session decides, oh no, we're moving, I can't do the rest of the session. So you can cancel them and unregister them from the class, but add an administrative fee that is used to charge them for the classes that they actually did attend. So let's look at this video and see what are the steps to do so. So as usual, you want to expand the original invoice, click on cancel/refund items, select the items, and then underneath the full amount, you see this checkbox, add administrative fee. You can then select the amount in percentage or dollar, then attach the appropriate ledger code. So notice that the invoice was $92 here, you can see it, and our administrative fee is 15. So the calculated total is automatically calculated to $77. Then if you go down to the refund amount and simply click apply max amount, it automatically calculates it for you, $77 refunded to the client because you want to keep that last 15 for administrative work. Then if you click save, you will see the cancellation and the cash refund that is performed. And note that in this case, we decided to refund offline. So the system automatically thinks that the refund was done immediately since it's offline and there's no way for it to know when it was done. So you'll notice that there's no expected or current balance. There's only the current balance of 0. Next, we're going to look at so when a client pays via installment, so with an installment plan. So the use case scenario for this is if somebody selects to register for an activity that has a linked installment plan, but before the activity starts, they say, oh no, I want to unregister. So how can you make sure that you're refunding what they've paid and also cancel their post-dated payment so they don't get charged afterwards? So in this specific example, you'll see that the initial payment was $25. So if you click on the orange button, view post-dated payments, you can see all of the payments that were planned along with, let me show you that, the information, along with the planned date, the type of credit card, invoice, the total, all of the information you would want to see about post-dated payments. Now, if you go into the original invoice and select cancel/refund items, select the item you wish to cancel, you will have the opportunity to select each and every one of the installments to cancel them at the same time. Then you credit the full amount. In this case, it's $100. And if you select the method of payment as credit card via Amilia and click on max payment, notice that it automatically calculated that $25 will be refunded because only $25 have been paid for thus far. So if we continue, click on save, you will see that the $25 refund has started. And if we go into the view post-dated payment section, you can see all of the canceled installments that are there. So that's a really, really handy way to cancel it when somebody's paid via installments. Next up, we are going to look at when there is a replacement. So this is a good example because in this account, there's been multiple replacements and sometimes it's easy to lose track of what's going on. So to break it down, there's the online purchase, which is the original purchase at the bottom, $25, and the client paid $25 for it. However, there were multiple replacements afterwards. So right now they might have started with a $25 activity, but it's been replaced with a $100 activity. So if you want to cancel the registration, you have to go in the activity that they're actually registered for. So usually it's the newest one, expand that, select the activities you wish to cancel. And notice here that there's no credit card via Amilia. There's no option to refund online. That is because they're not reconciled together. So the payment here that we just expanded is still reconciled with the original invoice. In order to refund on that credit card, we will have to undo those reconciliations and now reconcile it with the invoice that we're trying to cancel. So how to do that? You go back into the payment, expand it, then click on reconciliations. You can undo that by clicking on the trash can. See it has been unreconciled. Then you want to go back into the invoice you're trying to cancel. Click on reconciliations. Undo the credit memo that was reconciled for $25. And then you want to link it to that payment of $25. Then you can click save and the reconciliations are done. Now, once you refresh the page, like so, and then go back into your invoice as if you were to cancel any other invoice, cancel/refund, select the items. You can also check and uncheck email confirmations. That is a very good detail to know. Notice now there's the credit card via Amilia, apply max amount, $25 because that's how much has been paid, and save. So now the client has been unregistered from the activity and refunded $25 back onto their credit card. So you'll notice that the current balance is $25 less than the expected balance, but there are still a few unreconciled items here that you can see, right? Because we played with the reconciliation. So one tool that we wanted to demonstrate that some of you might not know exists is the reconcile account feature. So if you go and click on operations and then click on reconcile account, it will automatically reconcile the account for you. However, something important to note is that these reconciliations will be done in chronological order. So the first invoice will be reconciled with the first payment, and the oldest invoice will be reconciled with the oldest payment, and so on and so forth. So that's something important to keep in mind when using that tool. Next, we are going to look at online versus offline refunds. Sometimes people get very confused, and so we just wanted to clarify for you guys what the differences are and how you can spot them. So a good example we wanted to show you is, what if somebody purchases something for $100 and pays $50 with their credit card online and $50 offline with their credit card via a terminal, physically inserting their card. So as you can see here, there's the credit card payment. That means it was done offline, and online it was electronic payment via Amilia. So what you want to do to cancel it is expand, go through the usual steps, select it, credit amount in full, and then you want to apply max amount. Now notice that because the offline refund method is selected, the max amount is 100 because you can refund the maximum amount. However, when we select credit card via Amilia and re-click on max amount, apply max amount, only $50 can be refunded because only $50 were paid with online. So then if you save, click continue, it will be unregistered from the activity and then refunded $50 to their card. However, they still have an expected balance of a $50 credit, which means that you still owe them $50. And that is due to their credit card payment offline. So to refund somebody offline, what you want to do is go into operations, click on make a refund, then you want to select the method of refund that you are going to use, and then click save. So that's basically telling the system I have done an offline refund, and just to keep track of everything that you're doing. Now, if you're not too sure, did I do it online, did I do it offline? One good way to find out is if you expand one of the payments and then click on view refund, not expand the payment, expand the refund rather, and then click on view refund. If it has been done online, you'll notice all this information, cardholder name, cardholder last 4 digits, all that stuff. Whereas if you view a refund that has been done offline, all you'll see is the amount and a note if you've left it. So that's a really, really handy technique to make sure that you've done your refund offline or online as you plan to. Just to reiterate, here you can see to make an offline refund, what you want to do is click on operations, then make a refund. And what you want to do if it's online, is expand the refund and expand the payment, and then click on refund. You can adjust the amount if you want. And to double check, if you expand it, click on view refund. The online refund will have all of this information, whereas the offline refund will only have the amount. Now let's continue with our first new feature that we're really, really excited to showcase to you guys is our Payment Action Center. So it's very, very relevant these days where we see an unprecedented amount of refunds and cancellations happening due to obvious circumstances. So basically our Payment Action Center is a dashboard for your failed refunds. So when a refund is failed, it will appear under your Payment Action Center, and you will have the possibility to retry the transaction or dismiss it if the client decided to use the credit or you decided to refund them offline. There's another feature that I'll touch on later in, where it's basically a notification center for credit cards that are about to expire but that are linked to post-dated payments coming up. So I'll show you everything in these 2 videos. So firstly, what happens if my refund fails? So as you can see here, there was an online purchase that was canceled, but you can see the cancellation, but there's no refund. They still have a credit of $436.90 on their account. So what you can do is go in your Payment Action Center. That can be found at the top under your Client tab. And you will see all of your failed transactions. And in this case, you see that Andre Perot has a failed transaction, and there you can choose to retry the transaction or dismiss the entry. So that's really, really, really handy if you want to keep track of all your failed refunds going through. Next up, as you can see in the bottom, there is the expiring credit cards with planned payments. So if you look underneath and you have a customer that has planned payments, but their card is about to run out, so you can see their credit card few digits, expiration date, when they've been notified, and also when their payments are planned to go through. So what we recommend you do in this case is, well, first off, they will get a notification, but we would also like you to, well, not we would like you to, but what we recommend is that you notify the client and ask them to save a new credit card onto their account, because that will make things easier for you. Because now what you want to do is go into their account, under client billing, into their post-dated payments, because we are going to update the method of payment. If you select an installment, by clicking the checkbox on the left and then click on update payment method, you will see the saved credit card on file over here. So if they have saved a new credit card, you'll be able to just select that one and update the payment information for the installments. However, in this case, it is still the old card. As you can see, it expires soon. So what you can do is call your client and click on use a different card and enter in all their credit card information and update it so that when the payment goes through, it will not fail. It will go through on the new valid non-expired credit card. Our second new feature is the cancellation policies. So this is to facilitate when you're going through and doing multiple cancellations, as it might happen today due to the circumstances. So basically, I'll show you how to configure it. If you go into configuration, into the account tab, sorry, and then under policies, you'll see that you can add a cancellation policy. Then you can add the name, the appropriate ledger code, the taxes for an administrative fee if you're still charging an administrative fee. And then you will be able to add a cancellation period before and after the activity. So in this case, we're going to add a cancellation period 30 days before the activity. What we are going to do is credit the full amount, so 100%, and not keep an administrative fee. And then if you want to add another cancellation policy, for example, only 1 month before, and so on and so forth, you can do that or remove them. Then after the activity, so in this case, we're going to add 1 day after the activity. We still want to credit the full amount. However, we want to keep an administrative fee of $25 or percent that you can adjust. So in this case, we're putting 25%. Then at the bottom, you also have the option to prorate your administrative fee. So if you want to add an administrative fee, you have the option to prorate based on the amount of classes left or that have gone by. You also have the choice of dollars or percentage. Then if you click save, you will see that the cancellation policy appears, and then you will be able to link it to your program. One thing I forgot to mention earlier is that you can link a cancellation policy to a program, and it is only valid for the time being for session-based activities. So next, what happens if you try to cancel an activity that is eligible for the cancellation policy? So if you go into an invoice, as you would regularly, expand it, click on cancel/refund item, select the item, you will have a pop-up that says a cancellation policy is in effect. It explains basically what the cancellation policy is, and it auto-populates all of the fields in the cancellation. So you can choose to manually adjust those if you have to adjust it, but it's really helpful to have them auto-populate the fields, and it goes a lot faster. So that was for cancellation policies. Next, we're going to look at mass cancellations. So mass cancellations is when you want to cancel many activities within the same program and credit the amount onto the client account. So when mass canceling an activity, the credit can be put on the amount, but on the client account, but you cannot refund them. So that is something to note. So how to do it? If you go into the activities tab under the registration sub tab and select your activities, you can then click on operations and cancel selected activities. Then a pop-up will appear asking you if you want to credit the full amount or a prorated amount if you were halfway through the session. Also note that planned installments will be canceled when canceling the activities. You can send an email confirmation and give back multi-passes if those were used to make the purchase. Then once you click save, you will see all of the activities that are planned to be canceled. So it gives you a good glimpse, make sure that you selected everything you wanted to select. And you can click on cancel activities, and slowly you will see the status, that little notification, and each activity is being canceled one by one. Now, it might take a while depending on the number of activities that you're canceling, but for the purpose of this video, we cut through to the end to show you this pop-up where you can either send an email or export a list of all the activities that you cancel. If you choose to send an email, you can put a subject, body, everything related to emails that you would normally be able to do. And now notice that everybody has been removed from the activities and all the activities have been canceled. So next up, we're going to look at facility closures. So this is another nifty feature that basically permits you to close a facility for one specific day and all the activities that are linked to it. So for example, if one day you have a power outage or due to COVID you have to close down, you can close the facility and it'll automatically cancel all of the occurrences happening at that facility on that day. So here's how you can do it. If you go in the facilities tab and then look at the calendar sub tab, you'll see the close facilities button on the top right. If you click it, you can select the facility that you wish to close. You can select one or multiple, but in this case, we're only going to select Studio 3 because today, specifically today, we had a power outage at Studio 3, so it is what it is, and we have to cancel all of our activities. You can leave a credit memo cancellation note, sorry, so you can see if ever you see that credit on the account. And then if you hit cancel, you'll see all of your activities being canceled one by one. Once again, you can export the activities or send an email. In this case, we just want to close and refresh. And you will see that there's another facility closed on today, the 11th, and all of the activities were canceled and disappeared from the calendar. Now, last but not least, we want to go over some frequently asked questions that we get quite often. So can you issue a refund to a client on a different card? So the answer is no. If you buy a pair of jeans, for example, at a store, you can't expect the store to be able to refund you on a different card without them having to physically enter the card into a terminal, which you can also do with an Amilia. That would be an offline refund. But for online refund, you can only refund onto the same credit card. That often brings up the second question. I refunded back onto an expired credit card. What happens now? So really good news is that oftentimes expired credit cards get renewed, and in those cases, the refund will still go through. So that's great, but we know that sometimes there are specific cases where somebody canceled a credit card or it was lost or something happened and you want to issue them a refund. Well, in that case, there's no way to refund back onto another credit card online. You'll have to do an offline refund. We don't recommend offline refunds, however, because they're not as efficient and it's harder to keep track of things. So we really, really recommend online refunds. However, we know that it's not always possible. So in specific instances like that, you can do an offline refund. Third question, how long does it take to process a refund? So this depends on the client's banking institution. So sometimes it can take more or less amount of time. We always like to say 3 to 5 business days. So on average, you can take around 3 business days, but we like to give ourselves a little buffer so the client doesn't panic or call back. So we like to say 3 to 5 business days, and we recommend you do the same. The fourth question that we want to go over is, I've refunded someone, how come they're still on the attendance list? So this is a common misconception where once you refund a client, you think that they've been removed from the attendance list, but or unregistered. But note that to unregister someone, you have to cancel their invoice. So that is the only way that they're going to be removed from the attendance list. So if they're still on the attendance list, most likely that you haven't canceled their invoice properly. So just some little things to check. One thing I'd like to mention before I pass it back to my colleague Sandrine is that everything we went over today are in our knowledge base articles found in our knowledge base. And in our knowledge base, we have a bunch of articles about all our different features and the guides to set them up and what you can do with them. So that's a really, really handy tool. If ever you have a question, you can look it up in the knowledge base, see if you can find a quick answer. And I think that's something that can be used a lot to find some quick answers. So yeah, pass it back to Sandrine.
Thank you,
you guys, sorry, I hope you guys learned a lot. Thank you very much for coming.
Yeah, exactly. We hope you guys learned a lot. Thank you all for joining us. It was really a pleasure to share this with you, and we hope to see you back soon with another webinar capsule. Also, this webinar will be recorded, as I mentioned earlier, so if you want to watch it over, send it to a colleague. It will be possible. Don't worry, you should receive it by email in the next 48 hours or so. So thank you. Have a great day, a great rest of your week, and we'll see you later. Bye.
Thanks, guys. Bye.